Welcome to Thank God You're Not My Child. It's a comedy podcast where I talk about whatever I want. So let's get started. First, I want to get something out of the way. I really don't want to give a whole lot of attention to it, so I'm going to just bring it up just a short time. First, this episode is about giving your kids choices from the smallest age you can. So, I want to talk about a choice that was made this week. We're going to talk about just a few seconds of Gypsy Rose, the girl that made the wrong choice to have her mom killed, and she served time. And I lived right out close to Springfield, Missouri, so there was a few times I did get to see her because they were given a lot of free stuff. And so I sympathize with everything she went through. But there are people out there that work their ass off to do good and to be famous. There's a lot of famous people that suck, but people have worked really hard for this, and she was mistreated horribly. I will agree. And bottom line, if it wasn't for her, her mom wouldn't be dead. So let's just stop making her famous, okay? And I say that lightly because I don't want to give much time to Gypsy. I hope the best for her because her life was shit, but she still did wrong and we should not be idolizing her. Okay? And that's it. Now I want to talk about kids' choices. The choices you give your kids. You know what I mean? And just let you know that your kids learn from a small age choices. Like, let's say you've got a 1.5-year-old and you're trying to get them dressed. You can give them choices on what clothes to wear. You know, do you want to wear this? Do you want to wear that? You can give them, do you want white milk, chocolate milk? All kinds of choices a 1-year-old can have. Do you want to pick up the baby dolls or the balls? Because when you let your little child have choices, eventually it comes out to the fact that they get older and they understand that they have choices to make and kind of that there are consequences for that. If you're 1-year-old, like I've said before in another episode, is if they picked white milk and they take a drink and realize they want chocolate milk, well, you know, that was the choice you made, so you need to drink it first. It doesn't hurt your child. Your child will not be hurt because they need to learn that a bad choice has consequences, even if it's something as simple as drink the white milk first. So, I mean, you know what I mean. And if you don't, you need to know what I mean. Because then start from a young age. When my son went into kindergarten, you could not trust his clothes were always messed up, and I didn't want to make a fight out of it. So the best thing we did was he was tall and thin, and he's still tall. We'll just leave it at that. He takes after his mama. We might be thick people. We might be. Okay, we are. Anyway, I bought him Wranglers. Blue ones, black ones, brown ones, whatever I could find. And then any shirt he wanted. Because it wasn't going to be that bad. He's going to have solid pants on. Didn't matter what kind of shirt he put on. It just wasn't going to be that bad. And I just made sure my daughter had, when she was little and she started picking her clothes, you know what? I could care less if she had 8 colors on. If she picked them and she was happy and it was weather permitting, girl, good job. You know, I'm just, let your kids choose. And, you know, it's like this week, my daughter put on her Facebook that she was told by walking at a park there in Missouri that it was too cold for my granddaughter. She'll be 2 this month. And she had her appropriately dressed. She had layers on. She was great. She was happy. They were taking a walk. And, you know, people, mind your own damn business. I'm going to tell you this. My daughter didn't deserve to have anybody tell her that because she's a good mama. She's a wonderful mama. And she took her child outside when it was a little chilly, dressed appropriate, to take a walk in a park. You know? And hello, it's not even bad, I'm just going to say it, to have your child sleep outside if their weather. I mean, if they're dressed, let them sleep outside when it's a little chilly. That fresh air, whew, it's just not a bad thing. So that's another one. You know what? If I ever find out who those two ladies was that was being Karen's next my daughter, um, I might have to have a talk with them. I might have to go walking and have her point them out next time I'm up there, because we might have a little talk about how to respect people. Just saying. I know. It's really, really, really weird. But, I'd never hurt anybody, intentionally, if you know what I mean. So then we're going to go on to gifts. There are so many kids now that get so much stuff that you'll look at their room and you can't even walk in it because A, they don't pick it up, and B, they have so much they don't know what they have. And so, to each his own, but the one thing that I think would be good to do is if, like, they have Christmas and they get all these new things, they really need to organize their room and figure out if there's things they can donate for kids they can't afford. There's kids out there that, we're lucky to get one gift and a hot meal on Christmas, and that's something that we need to keep in our heads, that not everybody has money to do 1,000 gifts. And that's a little overstated. I know it, a little overstated, but they need to choose what they're not playing with and what they are playing with, and let them choose, what they don't want to play with anymore. And that's on that's how it works. That's how you learn. And it's kind of like when my daughter was 5, I guess, going into kindergarten. I'm just letting you know. Barbie, pink. I'm not a Barbie girl. And the fact that my daughter was a Barbie girl kind of made me sad. But you know what? That's what she liked. And her room wasn't about me. And when you walked in her room, I let her pick her sheets. She needed new sheets. So yeah, you can have Barbie if you want Barbie. Curtains, rugs, pictures. Oh. If I had all that stuff now and could sell it for her, can you imagine what I would be able to get for her with vintage Barbie stuff after this movie came out last year? Holy hell. But it lasted for a few years. She loved it. And I loved her loving it. That was her choice. And a lot of parents will decorate their kids. Oh, I need it perfect. I need it that. You know what? I even once let my son, when he was a teenager, tag his room. The only thing I had with this was I did not think things through. The house, you could have gotten high in. It was a nice day. It was actually a kind of a hot day, and I should have just went ahead and turned all the fans on, opened the windows, and let him have fun. But I do believe the house stunk for a few hours horribly because I didn't think things through. But the only choice was, if you tag your room, he was going to join the Marines. Before you move out, you have to prime it. You have to paint it, get it ready. So everything has to be cleaned up. And you know what? It worked. It was awesome. And he loved it. And, there was no nasty words on it. There was a few things that made you scratch your head because he was a 17-year-old boy, or maybe 16. Huh? But he had friends come over and help him, and they had a great time. And you know what? It's just walls. It's just walls. It just doesn't matter. And he made that choice. And you know what? He also took care of priming it before he left, because that was the deal. And if that's what you agree to, that's what we agree. That's the rule. And so, yeah, so let them make those choices, because the choices you make when you get older can be very important. Tattoo or no tattoo. I have tattoos, but you want your kid to understand it's a for life thing. And if they're not used to make those choices and maybe having some disappointments, you just never know. It's like, oh, Mom, I loved him. I didn't mean to get his tattoo on my forehead. I mean, you got to learn that consequences suck sometimes. And it's okay. That's how you learn. It was kind of like, I know my son, when we first moved to Missouri, he still wore, from when he was little, the Wranglers. He's still very tall and was still thin. And so we'd buy him Wranglers. And I'm from Texas. So I can get a brand new pair of Wranglers, white seamed all the way up the seams, if you know what I mean, because I iron everything. At least 30 years ago I did. So, now I'm not even sure I own an iron that's not for arts and crafts. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But I guess I need one. But now we just take our stuff to the dry cleaners. That's what happens when you get old. But I could save so much money. Okay, I'm buying an iron. I'm buying an iron this week. I promise I'm going to buy an iron because I know how to do it. So, okay, got a little offhand. Anyway, we moved to Missouri, and his name is Justin, and I did want to name him Justin Boots when he was born, but my dad begged me not to, so we didn't. But the only thing he really wore besides tennis shoes he had a few different Justin Boots, slip on, tie up, all of those. And he wore Wranglers and t-shirts. Well, the Wranglers were washed and ironed because that's how I roll. And his t-shirts were ironed because wrinkles suck. And he'd have these little seams on it. You know what I mean? You iron a shirt, you get a seam on the shoulder. You know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, DM me. I'll explain it because I love to teach people to iron. So anyway, he comes probably 2 months, 3 months or so, getting closer to Christmas, I guess. That first year we were there, and he wanted to know why he has lines on his t-shirts because kids are making fun of him because my t-shirt doesn't have that. And I was like, you mean this? And it was from me ironing. And he goes, yeah, they're making fun of me. And I said, Justin, I iron your shirts. That's from ironing. They are pressed. You are wearing t-shirts that are pressed, baby. You're looking sharp. But he came home 2 weeks later saying that they're teasing him so bad that could I please stop? Well, everything in me was like, fuck no. Fuck no, I'm not going to stop. I wasn't raised like that. Huh, mama? Anyway, he was getting bullied for it. He was getting bullied and teased because his mom ironed his t-shirts. And do you know what I had to say about that? You parents that are so lazy you can't iron your kids' t-shirts, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, I'm just joking with that. Not everybody should iron their t-shirts. But, I did. But he didn't want it done. And it just wasn't that big a deal. So you know what I stopped doing? It gave me some more time, too. I stopped ironing his t-shirts. He'd have to ask me to iron something. Even his pants, I stopped. They were washed, and I know how to fold them so they get the crease. And I took care of them. But I'm not going to waste my time ironing if other kids are going to bully my son for his mama doing too much for him. Of course, that's a whole nother podcast. I did way too much for my kids. Seriously, I think my son was 12 the first time. I think I've mentioned it in another episode about he didn't even make his own sandwich ever. I knew what he liked. I asked him what he liked, and I took care of it because that's what moms do. I learned through years of daycare and realizing where I screwed up with my kids is let your kids do stuff. Let them make their own choices. Just let them fail. It's okay. Your kids failing at simple things much better than them failing at something like, should I drive after this party but I'm drunk or should I not? Little choices to begin. Seriously, you can let an infant decide if they want the green beans or the peas. Do they know what they're doing? No. But if you let a 11-month-old look at the jars, tell her green beans, or him, green beans, peas, which one you like, you know what? It doesn't matter which one they pick, they're both good for them. But then when they get older and you go, do you want green beans or peas? They might know what it is. It's a start. So stop doing so much for your kids when it comes to choices. Make sure your clothes are weather permitted. You don't need shorts if it's 10 degrees. Of course, there's always that child that gets really hot. Not talking about them. If it's hot, don't let them wear the sweater dress and tights. Because guess what? They're going to be at school. They're going to be sweating. There would be consequences. But they'd have to wear them the whole day before they could change. But weather permitting, let them change. Food. Your kid's picky. Do you know why your kid might be picky? Because you never made them eat anything. I'm not saying force. I'm just saying, I know my daughter didn't like tomatoes, And so I wasn't going to put tomatoes on anything that she had. It was always there and available. But why waste? My son, I don't know, he can eat corn on the cob, but he didn't like corn. I didn't question it. He doesn't really like corn. So I didn't make him eat corn. But I still had different things for them to try. I mean, you can, this is what you have to have, and the rest is an extra kind of thing. But if you say, my kid will only eat chicken nuggets, guess what? That's all you're giving them. You give them no choices. And sometimes their favorite meal can be a choice. Hey, we're having your favorite meal tonight. Woohoo! You know what I mean? But it's not going to happen every night. I believe in making them happy sometimes. Do that. The meals aren't horrible for them. Have their favorite meals. But don't let everything they choose to eat be their favorite meal, because then that's the problem. And I don't want to judge people, but that is the problem. So, bottom line is, start teaching your kids at a young age for choices, so they won't be the one drinking at a party and deciding they'll just secretly drive home because nobody will know, and they end up in jail because they kill people. Or that girl that doesn't really want to do anything, but she decides, makes the wrong choice, and she does, and she gets pregnant in high school. I was that girl. I wasn't going to do anything. And I mean, I thank God now that I have my son, but don't think when I was 18 I was planning on that happening. But that was the choice I made. And you know what? I grew up fast. And he's one of, I mean, I have 2 blessings, and he's huge. I mean, I have a daughter and a son, and they are the best things that ever happened to me. So that choice was a rough choice. I lived with it. I grew with it, and it was an awesome choice. But that's not a choice I would plan on making before, it happened. And of course, my ex would like to tell you it was because he was such a stud, but I see pictures from back then. I don't think either one of us was all that. But, because of him, I have my son and daughter. It's a good thing. So, yeah. So, only a slight shit soapbox. Eat shit soapbox. That's still so hard to say. Anyway, my soapbox, my shit soapbox for today. Let your kids make choices. Let them fail. They're going to learn from it. And then when they get to be adults, they'll understand more when they make the wrong choice, or celebrate when they make the right choice, because that is what it's about. So anyway, I've already told you more than I know. So until next time, thank God you're not my child.